Okay, we're back. There's been a lot on the agenda actually, and there's two really cool things that have happened. I'm not coughing anymore, which is absolutely fucking fantastic. So happy. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced a lingering cough for over a month. Mine was. Here's the thing. I know when I got sick, and I know I didn't have a cough for the first couple of weeks. So I think it was about 6 weeks. I've been saying 8 weeks because 8 weeks was when I was sick, or it's 9 weeks today. Um, when I started getting like the vomits and the fevers and the flu and everything like that. But I wasn't coughing at the very start. But anyway, took forever. Health guy reached out on Instagram after I posted a video, and I was saying it's been difficult dealing with this shit and not trying not to have a sook about it. And a couple of days there throughout that period, I did. I just had a fucking write off day. I was like, this is bullshit. I can't film properly because every time I open my mouth, I need to fucking go. It's really fucking annoying. Thankfully, you guys have put up with it the last couple of episodes, but we've got it. We got it sorted. You're not going to hear me fucking cough again. Which is so good, so much better. And I was talking about like the fact that there's this hustle grind mindset, Sigma fucking alpha male culture that you just got to work 16-hour days every single day, and it's just like rain, hail, shine, basically. I do believe that you should do things even if you don't feel like doing them. I absolutely agree with that. But I also agree with the fact that we're human and we're going to have off days whether you like it or not. You're going to have shit days where you just got to nap on the couch and do nothing. And that's completely fine. The productivity side of me gets kind of agitated with that idea because I know I could be doing something and I'm not. And this is one of the things with entrepreneurial minds as well, is that you always feel like you could be doing more, and you can get into a trap where you're pretty much just, what does Williamson call it? Williamson calls it the inverse Frankl law. And so you basically become the world champion of winning the marshmallow test, where you just delay gratification forever. And he talks about it in a sense of, Frankl's law is when you can't find a deep sense of meaning, you distract yourself with pleasure. And the opposite of that is trying to distract yourself with meaning because you've like removed all the pleasure from your life because you're just delaying the gratification because you know it's only a stepping stone to the next problem that you're going to have. And there's just this ladder and it never ends. And once you summit mountain number one, you recognize that it's not the summit because the next mountain is behind it and now it's much taller, and you've got to scale down the other side of the initial mountain and then go all the way back up to the summit of the next mountain. And then when you get up to the summit of the next mountain, you recognize that it's the same thing in relation from 1 to 2, except now it's 2 to 3 and it's a little bit higher. It's going to take more effort and so on and so forth. And it's very interesting to think about the way that people do that. And it's this entrepreneurial mindset where you know you could be doing more and you could be doing better. But some people get stuck into the trap of allowing themselves to pat themselves on the back a little bit and go, you know what, I actually am achieving some cool shit. I have done some cool things. Give yourself the ability to be grateful for that, as well as also looking into the future and going up the next mountain and doing the things. And I had a mate who was like this, and he was extremely frugal on the come up to his success. And so much so that he would still eat the same meals as when he was poor. He wasn't ever poor, but making a significantly less money, and would refuse to spend money on like restaurants and all that sort of stuff. Saw it as the biggest waste of resources. It's not going to kill you to go out to dinner and enjoy the fruits of your labor. It really isn't. And it's not a waste of money because it's a beautiful experience that you get to share with friends. Hopefully share with friends. I've been on many expensive dinners on my own, and it's kind of gay. It's good to take yourself out for dinner every now and again, but it's like my car, right? I bought my car because it was a fucking dream of mine to drive an RS6 every single day. And I have screenshots on my phone from 2017 when I wanted the original version of that car. It's the previous generation. It's got the big ass and it's got the fat tires and it makes nice noises. I have already had the hedonic adaptation to that car 5 months in where I'm at now. But when somebody else gets to enjoy it, like my brother's coming around this afternoon to meet my daughter, which is the second really cool thing that's happened aside from skipping coughing. I should put that first, obviously, but we'll get to that later. And he's never been in my car before. And I know how excited he's going to be when I violently rip towards the speed limit and then stop. If you're listening to this, I only do the speed limit in a high performance vehicle. It's even stupid to say. But he's going to experience that for the first time ever. And you're going to really fucking enjoy it. So much more than I currently enjoy it. I do love driving my car. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I am ungrateful at all whatsoever for the experience that I have been able to afford myself. But I enjoy the enjoyment of others through the fruits of my labor much more than I enjoy my own, because it's normal to me now. I go fucking spend $1,000 on dinner by myself if I want to, which is like cool and everything, because I remember a time where I was freaking out so much about the bill of dinner that was $50 at one point in my life. And I was terrified that they were going to add a 1% surcharge and I wasn't going to be able to afford it. So much so that I ruined the meal for myself. It was a nice steak. At the time, it was a really nice steak for me. And I couldn't afford it because it was literally every last dollar that I had until I got paid the next day or 3 days later or whatever it was. And I was freaking out so bad that I just ruined the meal for myself. And I remember when I first started really making decent money in online personal training, I was selling 16-week programs for decent. I think it was like $1,800 or $2,000 at a time or whatever. And I had a week where I just sold like 8 of them. And it blew my fucking mind. I was shell shocked. I took myself out for dinner at Meat and Wine Co. because I had an experience of when I was training a client and he took me to Meat and Wine Co. I was like, fuck, this is so sick. Like, he paid for everything. And I was like, I decided then and there that I was going to be the person that would afford that opportunity to other people and pay that forwards, because it felt so, how am I going to word this? It was a very cool experience being a part of that. And I know what it means to him because I've done it for myself now. I know what it meant to him to give people things that they couldn't afford themselves that were normal to him. The guy that I used to train was extremely successful, still is. And for him, it was just another night at Meat and Wine Co. He used to eat there 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. It's just normal to him. But it wasn't normal to me, and he recognized that. And that's why he invited me out, to be able to give me that experience. And it's the same thing for me now, where me and my missus went to, we're in ADCC, Las Vegas for ADCC 2024. And it happened to be the week of our anniversary at the same time, of our 3-year anniversary. 2-year anniversary, sorry, 2 years. And I've always wanted to go to Joe Rogan's favorite restaurant in Vegas. It's called Bazaar. And I thought, that's absolutely perfect. I booked it. I never book things in advance, ever. This, I booked 3 months in advance to absolutely certify that we were going to get a table. And I'm so glad I did that, because it was fucking packed when we got there. We get there and it's the most amazing meal. Like, the service is 11 out of 10. The guy comes to the table. There was like a 11-course degustation meal. I don't know how the fuck you say it. And there was bone-in, dry-aged Wagyu. There was Kobe beef. There was foie gras with fairy floss on the outside, which was my favorite entree of the entire experience. There was liquefied olives in a spoon that blew my mind, because it looked like the green eggs and ham egg yolk, but it was in a little fancy spoon that had a tail on it that sat itself up. And they were like, try that. It's they like dehydrate it and then rehydrate it. It's some fucking crazy process. And you pop it in your mouth and it's just like an egg yolk, but it tastes like olives. It's mind blowing. It's fucking so cool. And we went to this place, and because I'd put myself in a position to be able to afford that without even knowing how much it was or what the bill was, I had the best fucking time. The best. I was literally like a kid in a ball pit, just going crazy. And I got to share that with my missus. My missus doesn't come from any affluence whatsoever. She told me this rather sad story, but also very commendable story about her parents, where they didn't have enough money to buy meat for everybody in the family. So the kids got meat and pasta, and then they didn't. They just had pasta and barbecue sauce. They had their kids real young. They had my partner at 16, and then 2 years later had another kid. And then I think 5 years after that had another kid, or 4 years after that had another kid. They were kind of on their feet a little bit by the third one. But 2 kids under 3 as 18, 19-year-olds. Holy fuck. That's a big responsibility. I've got one now and I'm 28. I'm in a very good spot to have kids and really enjoy the process without freaking the fuck out. Had I had a kid at 19, wow, different story. 16, another universe. Like, to anybody who does that, fucking bravo. Because you're a child yourself. Like, I remember what I was doing at 19. I was a fucking retard. Would I have the patience and the temperament and the experience and the wisdom and the maturity to be able to develop a kid the way that I'm going to develop my daughter now? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Like, I grew up real quick, but that's turbo mode on real quick. I've got these mates of mine, I talk about them all the time. These Lebos that I'm friends with. And beautiful, amazing people. Like, amazing people. Like Michael, probably the one that I'm the closest with because I'm the closest in age with him. He's still 10 years older than me, but the closest in age. He gave me all of the baby stuff that I needed. The pram, the bassinet, the carrier, he's got like a formula. It's called a baby brezza. It's like a coffee machine for formula. It's fucking gangster. It's cool. It warms the bottle up. It fucking pours it in for you. And we're not formula feeding our kid. We're doing breastfeeding because that's the way it fucking should be done. The female body during the whole pregnancy process and the birth process and the nurturing process thereafter is fucking incredible. And I'm not saying this as like a fucking white knight virtue signaling fag to get brownie points, because this is not how I do things, but holy fuck. What I saw my missus go through in the delivery room, my God. Like, I don't think jiu-jitsu training is hard because I've systemized it in a way that makes it fun and enjoyable and building skills. But even my toughest sessions, like I remember a time I was playing for South Sydney under 20s, and we had, it was called like a camp, basically. It wasn't a camp, it was just one day. The day started at 4:30 in the morning, and we were basically getting instructed by the coaches that this was going to be a team bonding exercise and you were going to come out changed, because they'd done this before. And you're kind of nervous when you hear words like that, because you're like, whoa, what the fuck does that mean? Started at 4:30 in the morning at Clovelly Beach, and then we ran to all of the subsequent beaches after that. So Maroubra all the way down to South Maroubra, then Coogee. We did Coogee Stairs, and there was a bunch of different exercises in between running to these beaches, and the whole coastline's massive. So we're doing a lot of kilometers, and we had 4 bricks that we had to hold the entire time as part of 4 teams: red team, yellow team, blue team, green team. And if one of those bricks, so they had strapping tape on it with team values, four team values. It was like respect, discipline, the typical generic shit. And if one of those bricks were to touch the floor, we would start the whole day again. So there was a very high prioritization on keeping that fucking thing from the floor, which included army crawling through kilometers of sand, which included all sorts of different hellacious activities that are still burned into my brain to this day, 10 years later almost. I finished that day at midday. We started at 4:30. We didn't stop training until midday. That doesn't even come to 1/10 of what I saw my missus endure. Not even close. Like, that's probably the most enduring fitness thing that I've done. And it was brutal. It was brutal. We had 26 40-kilo sandbags to run 1 kilometer down the beach. And it had to be in order of the teams that we would face for the rounds that we were going to have for the season. And if it wasn't in order, we'd start again. And it wasn't in order a couple of times. So we fucking started again. We emptied the sand out, took the bag all the way back down to the start, put the sand back in, and then took the bag all the way back down to the circle where we were doing the team thing. I vomited probably 8 times when I had finished. I literally couldn't drive home because my calves were cramping that bad. I couldn't push the clutch in my car. I had to just sit there and wait until my body turned back on. And for the next 2 days, I basically just slept in bed because it was fucked. I'm telling you, maybe 10% of what my missus went through. Fucking crazy. Ton of respect. Ton of respect. And you guys listening to this who are dads, you'll get it. And I'm already saying that shit. My daughter's like 3 years old. You're like, yeah, back in my day. It's so funny. But what a magical experience. What a beautiful thing to take place. To see a human give life to another human is out of this world. It's crazy. You don't expect to feel the way that you feel. And then you hold them for the first time. You've never met them before. And it's different for a dad to a mum because a mum grows with them throughout the 9 months. They feel the kicks and the flutters and they start to feel them develop and change. And we don't really get much of that because we're not the one carrying the kid. And you might feel a kick every now and again. You get a little bit excited, but it's very ephemeral. It doesn't last very long. But then you see their head and you're like, holy fuck, it's real now. And then they just plop them on top of your missus and then they clean everything up. And then they're like, do you want to cut the cord? I'm like, yes, I want to fucking cut the cord. Absolutely. Never missing that opportunity. And they give you some scissors. They're real heavy scissors. I grabbed it and I was like, wow, these are fucking heavy. This is cool. That's so fucking autistic. And then they clamp it right down the very end and they go, yeah, snip through it. Once it's white, good to go. And it was, it took me back to like biology class where we were cutting through like fibrous bits. It kind of, if you've ever put a knife through, or if you've ever cut chicken breast with scissors, like up the middle, that's kind of how it felt. It was like that weird fibrous-y, protein-y sort of feel, like feeling through the scissors, obviously. But fuck, what a cool experience. And then being able to hold your kid and just like have them sleep on you for a bit while you're doing your thing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't wait to have like 10 more. I'm sure my missus doesn't share the same sentiment just yet. But she was even looking at my daughter. She's like, yeah, we'll go again soon. As soon as we're able to anyway. But yeah, really fucking cool. But to go back to the whole restaurant thing is like the reason why it's so cool and why you should try and do this for yourself. Brian Callen said this thing not long ago on a podcast, and he said, the whole idea about being wealthy and pursuing wealth, becoming able to afford certain things, isn't so you could wear Dior t-shirts and whatever the fuck. It's so you can take your family out for dinner, pay for it, and not give a single shit about what the bill says. I've done that on a few occasions. I've done it on my own birthday. I pay for my whole family to go to dinner on my own birthday. But he's right. Everything else is bullshit after that. Being able to take them to a phenomenal restaurant and share an experience like that is so cool because you know they won't or can't do it for themselves. And you're the one that's able to deliver that to them. You're able to give them the gift of a really cool experience. Like dinner's an amazing experience, especially when you go to the right places. And we went to Fred's in Paddington, just near the city in Sydney, and they do everything farm to plate, and it's unbelievable. I had wasn't oysters. It was some sort of omelet. Oyster omelet was in Singapore when we were visiting a student of mine, Hardy. He's an absolute legend, and he took us out for dinner, and we did all the Singaporean foods at the food market. And I had durian, and durian tastes like absolute asshole. It's disgusting. Don't let them trick you into trying durian. It's fucking gross. It comes out and it looks like ice cream, and it looks like it's going to be sweet. And you look at it and you go, that looks good to me. It looks like a half melted soft serve. You take a spoon, you put it in your mouth, and it tastes like rubbish, like actual physical garbage. And you're like, this is fucking disgusting. I can't believe you're eating this. And I'm pretty sure Hardy ate mine too, because I just had one spoonful of it. I was like, nope, no more for me. Apparently, in the Southeast Asian countries where they eat it, it's illegal to have it on the bus because it stinks the whole bus out. That's how bad this fucking fruit is. And people eat it willingly, not like against their will, not as like some weird masochistic torture thing, but willingly. It's crazy. I don't understand it. It's disgusting. Mango is one of the best fruits you can eat. Mango sticky rice is an amazing dish. That exists on a planet next to a fruit that looks like it could be used as a weapon and smells like rubbish. And people go, give me the rubbish one. Are you fucking for real? Crazy. Craziness. But that's, I really think that's the whole idea around business and creating and delivering value. First of all, so you can help people overcome things that you've already been through, so that they don't have to go through the same mistakes that you have to get to the place where you want to go. And then it's also kind of a transformational journey of where was I 5 years ago and what was I unable to do as a result of the information that I lacked at that stage? What experience did I lack that was keeping me there? And then fast forward to 5 years to today, and go, what am I now able to do for myself as a result of the last 5 years of what I've gone through and the experiences and the lessons and the things that I've learned? And then how do I tell that story so that other people can experience it, or rather get the benefit from, without having to make the same heart pain. That's not the right way to say it. Painstaking. Yeah. Same painstaking fucking mistakes where you want to throw your head against the wall and your phone against the wall. It was much easier when everybody had burner phones, like the little Nokias. You just belt it against the wall, just pick it up, put all the pieces back together, it still worked. Can't throw an iPhone against the wall, fucking smash into smithereens. You got to buy another one. So they don't have to go through the same painstaking mistakes that you went through, and that hopefully they can get to their goals faster and help other people do the same thing and pull other people up. I really, really like that sentiment. Like, you should lead your life in a way, and this isn't a direct command. This is kind of like just me talking to myself, but I believe that the best way to live is leading your life in a way that inspires other people to do the exact same thing, like marching to the beat of your own drum. And now look, not everybody wants the stress and the responsibility of running a business, but that's not the only way that you lead your own life. There are several individuals that I know that work really ordinary jobs only so that they can go on a holiday every 6 months for 3 weeks. That's it. That's their whole goal. And they are marching to the beat of their own drum because they're doing a thing that they don't detest. They enjoy the social aspect of it, and it gives them the opportunity to earn enough money to live their daily life and then get paid enough to save some left over and then go on a holiday every 6 months to go experience the world. I know a lot of people like that. And it doesn't involve running your own business. It could. You could probably do it a lot more often and travel forever uninterrupted if you ran your own business. But some people don't think that the cost-benefit analysis makes sense. They don't want the stress. They don't want all of the responsibilities. They don't want to hire staff. They don't want to do all these things. I had a mate of mine I used to train with, and he ended up hiring a bunch of guys to help him out in his job. And because he wasn't that good of a leader, because he'd never done it before, he was a very good operator at what he was doing, but in terms of an owner, horrible. And he ended up hiring a bunch of people and then just went, this is fucking way more work than I asked for. I'm just going to go back to doing it myself because I don't want to handle people not showing up for work on time and not doing the things that I need them to do and having to explain it 100 times again and again and again and again and again. And fair enough. Some people don't want to be leaders. Okay. Some people don't have that high of aspirations. I talk to hundreds of them per week. I talk to hundreds of people that aim very, very, very mediocre goals, aim at very mediocre goals. And they just haven't considered what would happen if they aimed a little bit higher. They just haven't. I don't know why. I don't understand it. From 16 years of age, I've always wanted... I'll tell you the full story. I was kicking goals in my front yard off a tee with a football towards my house where the trees look like goalposts. There was one tree on the left-hand side and one tree on the right-hand side. And they kind of stood up enough for me to be able to visualize that as a goal. And I used to like run the whole process through my head, close my eyes and see the crowd around me and hear the cheering and everything like that. And it was always like an end game situation. Like I needed to kick the goal to be able to win the game, like the big grand final, all that sort of stuff. And I would do that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And my old man got the shits one day. He goes, stop kicking the ball near the house. You're going to break the window. I was like, I'm never going to break the window. I think like 2 weeks later, I broke the window. It was fucking really funny. He fucking lost it. Wait, I was younger. I was like 13 because they split when I was 13. Yeah, I was like 13, maybe 12 years old. And then I got this vision, like this idea in my head. I was like, I'm going to be on stage one day and I'm going to be motivating people to do more, be better. And I don't know where it came from. And I am of the fundamental belief that you don't choose your interests, not completely. I think we have free will, but I don't think that you choose how it is, like the vehicle for your free will, if that makes sense. I believe that your interests choose you as much as you choose them. And the ideas that come into your head, you are a antenna for these ideas. And even Michael Jackson said this. Michael Jackson said, if I get an idea for a song, I have to make it immediately and drop everything that I'm doing. Because if I don't, Prince will make it. And that kind of clues you into how it all works. Because ideas are this funny thing. You don't come up with them. I am completely sold on the idea, pun intended, that we don't come up with our own ideas. I am 100% convicted in that belief. It cannot be changed. I believe that they come from this big conscious soup, this ether. Call it God, call it Allah, call it Vishnu, whatever you want to call it the universe. I don't know. Call it the fucking dinosaurs for all I care. But I genuinely, truly believe that it's like an information highway and your brain is an antenna for this consciousness. And because they still can't confirm consciousness lives within the body, because it doesn't. Point to the part of you that generates consciousness. You can't. It doesn't exist. And so therefore it has to come from outside of us, and we are a receiver of said consciousness. And that means that ideas come and go like clouds across the sky. And you have to catch them. You got to catch them while they're there, because otherwise they're gone and they'll go away forever and they'll go to someone else. They'll go to the next person. That idea, think of ideas as like a living, breathing entity that need a vehicle for them to come to fruition. They need you as much as you need them. And so when a goal pops into your mind, or some thought or some idea pops into your mind, jot it down at the very least. At the very, very least. And then it'll turn into something. And Rick Rubin is a really good advocate for this. He goes, I don't really have like a system that I follow, but once we get in the studio and we start mucking around with some things and the ideas come, they start flowing and it just keeps coming. It's almost like you're signaling to say, I'm ready for the idea now. And then whatever it is, the universe just goes, all right, here's some. Let's see what you do with it. And in a less philosophical sense, it's kind of like the idea behind, there was a study that explains this perfectly. And I learned this from my first business mentor. He's up on stage and he's teaching us about consciousness and power versus force and emotional frequencies and vibrations and all these cool things that I've never been aware of, and I'd never experienced listening to this sort of stuff. And he goes, there was a study that they run with 100 people and they cut them right down the middle, 50-50. The thing they cut them down the middle on was whether they fundamentally had a belief that they were either a lucky person or an unlucky person. Then they had each of the groups of 50 dropped off by a limo to one very particular location out the front of a hotel where there would be $100 bill on the ground waiting for them. And they mixed up and randomized all the numbers. So it could have gone lucky, lucky, unlucky, lucky, 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 unlucky, unlucky, unlucky. It was a random control. 100% of the people who had the fundamental belief that they were a lucky individual, their brain gathered the information that there was a $100 bill on the ground and forced them to look down. Because that suits the narrative of their identity that they've clung to, that they're a lucky individual. 100% of the people who believe that they are unlucky individuals, their brain did not register the information. They skipped over it, walked over it, went to the hotel. 100%. And so when we're talking about ideas, this is really interesting because those people who believe that they are opportunistic, opportunities find them. People that believe that they are worthy in terms of their ability to solve problems will find really cool problems to solve. And problems aren't a bad thing. Most people who don't really go anywhere with themselves believe that problems are a bad thing. Problems are great because it tests your ability to be able to solve them. And if you are being tested in your ability to solve something, that means you have to become a better person in terms of your experience, knowledge, wisdom, habits, skills, what have you, to be able to solve that issue. Like you're solving problems that you couldn't when you were 18 because of that flow, because you've been able to experience certain things that have taught you certain lessons that have given you skills to be able to handle things. And it could be completely mundane. It could be like shopping for an entire week and not blowing your budget. That's a skill and that's a problem to solve that you need to be able to do. And you weren't able to do that when you were 18 because as soon as you walked in, you saw, a bottle of vodka and a block of chocolate and you just let your inhibitions run wild and you just went, fuck yeah, let's do that instead of buying food for the week. Or at least that's what I used to do. When I was at my job at nutrition station, $12 an hour, 8 hours a week, $96 at the end of the week. I would go and buy a liter of vodka for the party that I was going to be assisting the DJing with. I was like a fake security guard, half DJ, half fake security guard. And then I would go and buy a t-shirt or a singlet because you have to wear a fresh t-shirt or a fresh, stupid 18-year-old thoughts. So ridiculous. You got to wear a fresh one every single party that you go to, and you got to make sure that you're drunk as shit. So that's what I did. And then I had just enough money left over to go down to Mad Mex, which was in the same center. And my sister worked there, and I got staff discounts, and that meant that I could get a burrito with double meat for like the $8 that I had left over instead of it being like $12 or whatever it was. And that was me. That was my whole week. That was it. I was all bought. Had a fucking fun time doing it. Stupid. Had a very fun time doing it. See what I mean when it's like very commendable for young people to have kids and raise them to be decent individuals. When I was doing that shit, man, nightmare fuel thinking about raising a kid in that environment. But now growth, development, wisdom, all that sort of stuff. Don't make the same mistakes. And so problems aren't a bad thing. There's something to be looked at as an opportunity, because then you get to become a better person. And I told this to a mentorship client yesterday. And we're talking about the whole idea with Jim Rohn, the whole why not you thing. And he said that when he first started out, he was assisting in the selling of seminars for Zig Ziglar, who's another famous motivational speaker. And I recommend you listen to these guys, because the conviction of which they speak belief into you. Like your Zig Ziglars, your Wes Browns, your Eric Thomases, your Tony Robbins, your Jim Rohns, those guys, the who's who of like the motivational speaking crowd, they just light this fire under your ass and you go, I'm going to get shit done today. You just listen to the way that they speak, and it's all about the conviction and the belief that they speak with. But anyway, Jim Rohn was working for Zig Ziglar, and I think it was him. He said a mentor told me, and I assumed that it was him. He said, Jim, I want you to set the goal of becoming a millionaire. Not for the money, but who you will have to become in order to make that money. You're going to have to learn the skills of sales, marketing, communication, speaking with conviction and belief. You're going to have to learn all of these things that add up to your ability to become a millionaire. And I think he was like 26 or 27 at the time. And this is back in like the 80s. And he did it. And then a year later, he lost everything. Stupid decisions, mismanagement, poor money, hygiene, or whatever you want to call it. And what he realized, because he got back there within a couple of years, is that his mentor was right. He gave him the gift of self-belief based on looking at things in terms of the skills and the person I would need to become because of the goal. Because the reason that you guys listening to this right now don't make $1 million a year is because you just don't have the skills to be able to do it. It's not because of your family. It's not because of your environment. It's not because of the fucking economy. It's not any of those things that are outside your power. It's just because you don't have the skills and the wisdom and the habits and the behaviors that make you the person worth $1 million. That's it. That's all it is. And it's the same for every other achievement that exists. If you don't have a happy and healthy relationship, it's not your partner's fault. It's your fault, because you don't have the skills of communication. You don't have the skills of dropping an argument early before it turns into a massive fucking fight that didn't really need to happen. You don't have the skills of emotional intelligence and emotional awareness. You don't have the skills of having the communication ability to say, hey, I had a really tough day today. I feel like I'm a little bit on edge. I might say something stupid if I get a little bit more stressed out. So I'm going to take a little bit of time for myself right now. Just 20 or 30 minutes. Let me decompress. I'm going to come back downstairs. I'm going to be set. I'm going to be completely okay. I'm just going to go breathe my way through this. I don't want to take it out on you. Thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to do this. I'll come back in a second. Imagine the quality of the relationships around you, irrelevant of who they are, if you could just take the time to do that and say that. Instead of coming home from whatever shit day you had and fucking blasting everyone because you're in a shit mood and not telling them why, and then have them believe that they're the issue or why you're fucking cranky. Not a good strategy. Lived it. Have experienced it with parents that didn't know how to fucking communicate emotionally. Bad idea. Horrible, horrible idea. You can't let your emotions run your world. You really can't. You can't. I see it in a lot of people. And the reason they never get past it is because they never develop themselves as humans. They never look at problems as opportunities. It will change your fucking life if you look at problems as opportunities. I 110% guarantee it. You just start to make that mental shift and your world changes. Like, why do I keep ending the day feeling like shit? Is it the activities that I'm doing? Is it the way that I'm looking at my life? Am I just not trying hard enough and I'm not putting enough effort into myself? Do I need to learn something from somebody? Do I need to watch a YouTube video about how to stop this? Do I need to do a course, hire a mentor, read a book, anything? What do I need to do to overcome this? Because most people in most situations just go, well, that's the way it is and that sucks. Fuck that. As if you want to see it like that. No way. No way. I used to see things like that. I used to be like, oh, well, this is making me mad, so I'm just going to be mad about it now. And then you would get mad about being mad, which would just put you in this fucking doom spiral. It would just make everything worse. And it didn't really ever make sense to me as to why I was doing it. I was doing it on autopilot, reflexive mode. And then you take a shift from the reactionary frame, the mental frame, to the generative mental frame. I've spoken about this beforehand. But the reactionary frame is, this sucks, I'm going to get mad about it because it should make me mad, and then therefore that I'm justified in my response. Well, the generative frame is the breadth, or the breadth between the two things. What happens and my responsibility to respond in a way that doesn't make it worse. And so you go, this is really frustrating right now, but me getting frustrated about it being frustrating is not going to help the situation. What are the facts? And what can I actually do about this so that I can generate a solution? Your world will fucking change. Please trust me. Believe me. Your world will fucking change. There are so many things that can go on in your life that have the ability to just derail your entire day, week, month, year, whatever. Your superpower is not allowing it to ruin more time than it takes to fix the problem. Hypothetical example. Flat tire on the way home from work, already had a shit day, raining buckets. You get out of the car, you have a look at the damage, and you sit there and you go, this fucking sucks so much. I've actually had this happen. So I'll tell you the story. I was living with my brother and sister at the time, and I had a car. I had a Volkswagen Golf VR6 1996 in black, caramel interior. My favorite car that I've owned up until the Merc and then up until the Audi. Fucking loved this car. Big 2.8 litre V6 in a car that was this big. So much fun, raspy V6 noise, manual transmission, barely any power steering. You felt everything mechanically. It was an unbelievable car. Had that like old leathery smell that's in your granddad's house. Oh, it was the best. It ran really hot too, so you could smell it like 3 Ks down the road. That car had an issue with the front left axle, so I wasn't driving it. And I had to go to South Sydney training like now. And my brother had taken the other car that I told him not to. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm too late for the train, so I've got to take my car and just see how it goes. I made it 12 Ks into the trip of a 50-kilometer trip. Front left axle gives out. I think it's called the control arm or something like that. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know. But yeah, the front left goes out. Wheel comes off, gets stuck up underneath the guard of the car and just wedges in place. So I come to a pretty abrupt stop. I'm barely able to get the car off to the side of the road, and then I just push it the rest of the way to get off to the side of the road. I'm going to be late for training. I'm not making training. My car's fucked. It's raining buckets, and I don't have a spare tire. And I don't have a lot of money to ring a tow truck to get my car back to where it needs to go. And this is very stressful. As a 19-year-old, very stressful because you weren't allowed to miss training for any reason, because then you wouldn't get picked in the team that week because you're not a team player because everybody else is showing up to the team training and you're not. And I needed to play. I needed to fucking make a stamp because that was my career at the time. And so in my infancy of this whole understanding of the way that things work, I let that ruin the rest of my day. The rest of my day, I was just beside myself. just livid. Because of course back then it wasn't my responsibility. It was everybody else's responsibility. And so I fucking rang my brother, chewed him out. Fuck you. You took the car. You knew you fucking weren't meant to take it. Blah, blah, blah. He hung up. He was like, get fucked. Don't care. Wanted KFC. And I was like, oh, really? That was the reason why I'm in this predicament? Of course it was my responsibility. It was my fault. But at the time, I wasn't like that. I had this shit so bad. And for the whole rest of the day, I had the shits. Now, I wouldn't even get shitty with that because I would just assess the situation and think, what can I do about it? I can't do anything about the fact that my brother took the car. I can't do anything about the fact that the wheels come off. I can't do anything about the fact that everything that's just happened has already happened. Okay, it's already happened. What do I need to do? I need to make sure the car's off the side of the road so it doesn't get other damage from other cars. I'm not blocking traffic. I'm not doing this. I then need to stand out the front of the car to make sure that I'm not going to get hit by traffic, blah, blah, blah. I need to ring the appropriate people to come and get the car, to organize the tow truck, do whatever. And then I need to make sure that the car gets fixed. So I'll drop it to the mechanic instead of dropping it home, because if I drop it home, then I need another tow truck, blah, 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 blah. And then you just go through that process, and then you just deal with the emotionality of it immediately. Take a breath, separate yourself, go into a generative frame and go, all right, bang, that's what I need to do. Great. And that's exactly the same situation in any situation that you can believe, that you can muster up inside your mind in your imaginative process. And I think that's a great way to deal with things. Even in terms of like having an argument with somebody, I listened to a video this morning of this guy's page. He's like Andy Traufer or Andy T. Alpha or something like that. He's a motivational page. Gun page. Really, really cool cutting of clips and segments of different podcasts and different movies and different motivational speakers. Really cool videos. I definitely recommend you follow this guy. And on his story, it was really funny. And they were like, well, what was it? It was... They're like, how are you always so calm? And the guy goes, well, I stopped arguing with stupid people a long time ago. Instead of wasting all that time and energy and getting mad about the situation, I just say to them, you're right. And the interviewer, well, that's ridiculous. How could you possibly do that? There's no way you could possibly do that. That's absolutely ridiculous. He goes, you're right. And I fucking cracked up laughing. And Hormozy said this ages ago. Hormozy was like, when you think you're going to get into an argument with somebody and they're just going to go at you and they've already confirmed that you're wrong and they're right, just agree with them. They go, oh, well, you're wrong. Okay, you're right. Now what? And they will just shut the fuck up because they decided that they were going to have a fight and you just took it away from them. I just went, well, no argument for you. Unlucky. Go to the next person. And eventually they'll just get the point where they don't argue with you anymore. It's fucking great. It's great. I've started to do it. It's fantastic. If someone comes on my Instagram and they're just fucking chatting shit, they just want to be provocative for only that reason, because the internet has some anonymity with it and people just can say whatever they want without repercussions, I just block them. But if someone wants to get into an argument, I just tell them they're right. And then they're just like, they flounder all over the place. Fucking hilarious. It is a big problem that the internet has anonymity. But then it's also a big problem. We'll talk about this morning at training. It's also a big problem that governments of the world want you to tie your ID to social media. That's a problem. That's a big, big problem. And they're going to slide it in underneath the guise of safety, because they don't want kids getting in trouble on the internet. But then to certify that you are of age to be able to use the internet, that means that everybody that uses it has to tell you how old they are. How do you guarantee that they're telling the truth? Government ID. That's a bit of a fucking problem. It's as big of a fucking problem as, I think it was Vietnam. I don't remember if it was Vietnam or not. I'm pretty sure it was Vietnam. withholding personal funds from bank accounts until you adopt a digital ID. And the Instagram post was provocative in its nature, saying, well, they stole the money or the money just disappeared. It didn't disappear. They just couldn't access it, which is a stone's throw away from disappearing, until they adopted the new identity configuration, whatever the fuck they're calling it. That's a problem, because that is a very slippery slope until you can only spend your money the way that we tell you to spend it. That's a big problem. This is where we're getting into very dangerous territory. I do have a lot of concerns about the way that the earth is being run. I have a lot of concerns. And now that I'm a dad, I was talking to my best mate Zach about this before I had my daughter. This was probably like 6 months ago. And he was saying you really start to consider things in terms of the way that the world's going, because you now have brought someone into it. And I'm already feeling that like 3 days in. Genuinely. I started to think about a lot of things, like whether Australia is the country that I'm going to stay in, whether I'm going to have to leave home or not. I don't know. There's a lot of terrifying things about this country that quite frankly scare the shit out of me. That doesn't happen in other countries. Some other countries. Obviously the UK is a fucking write-off. The US is even worse. You got to deal with the whole gun problem and fucking wondering whether you're going to get shot just going down to get petrol. Which might be like an overestimation. I've been to the US 3, 4, 5 times now and I've never had a problem, but you never know. And I think they're so normalized, like the US population so normalized to it that they don't even really consider it. It's just like this hedonic adaptation I was talking about with the car earlier. It's slightly terrifying. And then you think about Southeast Asia, but then Thailand have gone full WEF crazy town. I had a student of mine, James, who was living in Thailand because of some favorable tax considerations. And then they just flipped and went, yep, everybody who's running a digital business is just going to get fucked into the ground. So then he moved to Georgia. Georgia has a 5% international tax rate if you get a visa. Sounds pretty good to me. Because I pay a lot of fucking tax. And I don't like it because it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go into anything useful. Kerry Packer, GOAT, RIP the GOAT, has this famous interview. I think it's in the 90s. And they're trying to pinch him for tax evasion. And he never evaded any tax. He's just everything by the letter. But he's a billionaire. So he had the means to be able to hire the people that were the ones who were writing the code to be able to, maneuver between the lines. As you're allowed to do legally. Because sometimes they write fucking stupid laws and they get exploited. But that's what should happen because the laws are fucking stupid for most part. Anyway, so they're interviewing him and they say, well, we can't justify it as tax evasion, but tax avoidance. And he goes, if anybody in this room doesn't pay the minimum amount that they can pay, they ought to have their fucking head examined. He goes, you guys do not spend it appropriately. If you were a business, you would fail miserably. And he's 100% right. And it's so funny because you watch it from a business perspective and you go, there's just so much waste, especially in the bureaucratic nature of the way that things are run, like at least in Western governments. There's just so many fucking people that don't need to be there. So many people. It's just a fucking waste. I'm in big favor of monarchies. I've done a lot of research into this. I've done a lot of reading and a lot of YouTube watching. Probably more YouTube watching than I did reading. But the monarchical structure is very interesting because it's a single point of failure. And if you get too tyrannical, the people start to revolt. And it's very easy to determine who you should revolt against because there's just one person. If you don't like them, you kick them out. So they want to do good by their people. Otherwise, they're in a bit of a fucking problem. And there's not this big separation and anonymity. It's very vague. Like everybody's like, oh, well, the president runs the country. Does he? If you still believe that, you're in a little bit of trouble. Well, the prime minister runs the country. Okay. Again, if you still believe that, you're in a little bit of trouble. I very much doubt that if you listen to this show, you believe that the government's batting 1,000 and they have your best interests at heart. Some people still believe that. That is terrifying. Some people also still believe that blue versus red, left versus right exists for any other reason than to just divide and conquer the masses. If you haven't gotten to that stage yet, you're also in a lot of trouble because it's just kayfabe theater. It's like pro wrestling. It's fucking bullshit. Your votes don't count. I've never voted. I never will. I want to participate in a fucking bullshit system. The Greens are never going to win. It's all just ridiculous. I think, honestly, my mentor Dan has this saying that he talks to kids about. He runs this kids club. It's really cool. They bring all the supercars down and they let the kids sit in them and rev the engines. And they talk about business. And there's 10-year-olds coming up to him with business ideas. I think that is just phenomenal. I think it's so cool. Every single time they ask him, they're like, "Oh, well, how did you get the Ferrari, or how did you get the Lambo, or how did you get the Porsche, or whatever?" And he's like, "It's not what I did, it's what I didn't do. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't vape, don't go to the club, don't watch porn, don't any of that. Don't do it. I don't ascribe to those things. I don't invest any time in the news. I don't care what's going on in politics and all that jazz because it's literally out of my control. What's within my control is what I focus on wholeheartedly. But the main reason I'm here where I am today is because I didn't do certain things. I didn't get obsessed with sports teams and get wildly emotional when my team won or lost. I didn't spend my life drinking away at a bar, doing nothing. I didn't spend my life angry or what's the word I'm trying to look for? Disgruntled at the way that the world was going, knowing that I couldn't change a single thing about it. But instead of trying to make the change myself, I just decided to get mad about it. Like if you have the idea from like a leftist perspective that billionaires are evil, they don't spend their money properly, they could save world hunger, but they don't. You don't like it? Go and do it then. Go and earn the money and make the changes that you want to see happen. You don't like the government, the way that they spend money, the way that they operate? Okay, go and build a business and fucking do it your way then. It's a pretty fucking good answer. It really is. And for many years, I was subject to that way of thinking. Like, oh, they don't spend money properly and it fucking sucks and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, go out and do it your way then. And speaking from experience of somebody who's done it, do it. Go out and do it your way. You will never turn around and say that was a mistake. I fucking guarantee you. 110%, I guarantee you, you will never, ever, 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 ever regret making that adjustment and making that statement to yourself and just going, all right, I'm going to do it my way then. I'm going to go spend it the way that I see fit and impact the people that I want to impact. Give to the charities that I want to give to make a fucking statement to show people if you don't like it, you can do it your way. It's going to take a substantial amount of effort. It's going to take a significant level of commitment. You will feel like quitting. Some days. I've looked down the barrel of a cold call list with 1,000 names on it and thought, maybe I should go back to timber flooring. Yep. Maybe I should go back and get a job. Maybe I should fuck this off because at least the timber floors weren't telling me to fuck off as soon as they picked up the phone. And I genuinely sat there at the cafe contemplating whether I should do it or not. Whether I should dust off the old resume and go and fucking pick up a job. And I talked myself off the ledge and said, you know what? What a blessing it is to find resistance in pursuit of something that you want to do. I wanted to run a PT business. I wanted to help people fucking lose weight, get strong. I wanted to show them what their body was capable of because they didn't fucking believe it. I wanted to show them they could do more, be more, have more. And that meant ringing them on the phone, having a conversation with them, getting to understand where they were at and what the blocks were and if I was suitable to help them. Most people want to change. They do. Most people want to change. But most of them need their hand held across the bridge to take the first step. They do. This is why coaching is a huge fucking industry. That's why personal training is a huge fucking industry. That's why business mentorship is a massive industry. Because you're pretending to not know the thing you need to do. You're pretending. You know what you need to do, you're just not doing it. And if that means exhibiting a little bit of pain to yourself, to your bank account, to make sure that you commit to have that accountability, to put yourself in the position to make the decision, to actually go for it, so be it. Do it. Hire the person. Put the money on the line. Put it fucking on the table. Force yourself to feel a little bit more pain than what you're currently at. I've told this story before, but my first business mentor for my online PT business, Sam, his mentorship rate was significantly more than I expected. And I kind of freaked out when he told me. It was $1,500 a month for 6 months. $9,000. And I went, I've never had that much money at one time, all in one place, ever. And I was like 24 at the time. I'd never have more than 10 grand saved, ever, in my entire life until I was like 26. Not joking. Because I was pursuing the dream. I spent what I needed to survive, and I invested heavily in courses and mentorships and people, going to events and seminars and all the things and learning as much as I could, buying as many books as I could. And I invested so heavily at the beginning into me that I just never bothered considering saving. Just never happened. And then it all happened at once. And then I had more money than I'd earned in a savings account in the last 10 years, all at once. Because it paid off. You fucking invest in yourself. Doesn't matter how much or how little. You're sending that message to yourself and whatever this is, that you're going to do it. And you got to. You got to put your nuts on the line and drive that accountability somehow, some way. And if you can't afford it, you can't afford a mentor, fucking find a way. I couldn't afford Sam. I really fucking couldn't afford him. But you know what I couldn't afford more? I couldn't afford not to do it. That was quitting. That was giving up. That was letting the dream die. That was allowing the voice in the back of my head, the limits, the doubts, the you fucking sucks that I'd heard from so many fucking people in my life. You're never going to make it. You're never going to fucking do this. You're never going to become anything. I heard it so many times. I couldn't afford not to figure it out. I told you guys, I sold shit in my house to make it happen. And this is why when I hear these excuses from people, they're like, oh, I can't afford it. Fuck you. You can. You're letting yourself be limited by your own fucking brain. find a way to make it happen. I needed to come up with $1,500 once a month. I didn't have it at the start. I was going to use an investment fund. I had $3,000 in there. It got fucking taken away. Unbeknownst to me. And it was just gone. And I delayed that response. It was really weird. Something was looking out for me at that time, because I had the money to start with 2 months up front, and I was going to like ease my way into it. But that was a safety blanket that I couldn't afford. I needed to feel the pain of it. I needed to fucking find a way to do it. The only reason is to prove to myself that I could. After like 6 weeks working with Sam, I was making like $15,000 a month. Like a 10x investment. That was it. And you know what? You know what's crazy? He taught me some things. But the thing that he taught me the most, you can fucking do it. You can do it. Because I've been where you're at. I've done what you've done. I am further ahead than you. And I can tell you from experience, you have what it takes. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And I needed the pain of my situation getting slightly worse with the stress to motivate me to move forwards, to do the things I needed to do to get better. And I fucking did it. And I did it. That is invaluable. If you're presented with the opportunity to hire a mentor, to get where you need to go, fucking do it. If it stings, good. If it hurts, better. Do it anyway. Don't go getting scammed. It's very easy to understand where you're going to get scammed or not. But you got to do it. You got to do it to prove to yourself that you can. And because the person in front of you is going to tell you that you can do amazing things. And they fucking believe it because they've done it. That's why they're in a mentorship position. Like when people come to me for business mentoring and they tell me what their targets are, I tell them aim higher. Trust me. When I first started my course, I was aiming at replacing my income. I did that in a week. Then I started to replace what I made in a week, what I made in a month in a week. Then I went, oh, I'm like aiming way lower than I should be. And I still am. I'm still aiming lower than I should be. I know I am. But I'm working every day to move towards that so that I can get to mountain number 2, summit it, look at the summit for mountain number 3, go all the way down mountain number 2 on the backside, and then go all the way up mountain number 3 and just repeat that process. If you take anything from this fucking episode, you can do it. You know you can. You're pretending not to know the shit you need to do and you're not doing it. It's not some fucking puzzle that you're incapable of solving. You've got the brains, you've got hands to be able to do things. You've got the skills, the knowledge, the wisdom, experience. You don't have that stuff yet, but you've got the ability to gain that stuff. You can develop skills. You can learn sales, you can learn marketing, you can learn business, you can learn jiu-jitsu, you can learn anything you want. You just got to get the fuck out of your own way. And if you won't listen to yourself, listen to me, borrow my belief, because I know you fucking can. I've done it. And I'm not incredibly intelligent. Everybody keeps fucking telling me that. I don't know where that comes from. I'm not fucking sharpest cookie in the shed. Pun. Well, I can figure it out. Fucking anyone can do it. And I know everybody says that. And I know everyone's like, oh, well, fucking everybody says that. All right, motherfucker, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove you can't do it. Go on then. Put your fucking balls where you... No, that was weird. Put your balls where your mouth is. Put your fucking money where your mouth is then, cunt. Prove me wrong. Prove you can't do it. Go on. I dare you. Fucking double dare you. Ugh. All right. I got to go see my fucking darling angel of a partner and my darling angel of a daughter and go thoroughly enjoy the rest of the afternoon in their presence, because that is all I want to do. Probably going to eat some food, film some videos, and that's it. Motivate you motherfuckers to do more than you currently are, because I know you can. Start fucking doing it. I'm going to keep yelling at you until you fucking do it. No, you can do more. All right. Peace.